All right, so I am going live today. It's been a long time since I've gone live. And I want to first let me thank all the fathers out there. Not thank, but let me send a happy Father's Day wish to all the fathers that are out there. And if you are watching this live, please let me know in the chat feature where you're watching it from. And even if you check this video out later and you're watching the recorded version, let me know where you're watching it from. For people who don't know me, my name is Renee Collins, and I am certified as a public accountant. I'm also certified as a financial planner, and I have a firm in just outside the Chicagoland area, just south of Chicago, and it's called Retire Ready. It is dedicated to helping business owners as well as families to develop a healthy relationship with their money so that they can save more, so that they can invest smart, and so that they can build wealth. And not just for their retirement, but also leaving a legacy for their family. So I wanted to go live today because one of the things that I wanted to talk about, one of my friends, she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, hey, Renee, what do I do if I may be single, for the rest of my life? What do I do, if I'm single, I am, over 40, make good money, and I've started saving for my retirement, but I'm not sure, if I am saving enough, or I need some tips, some retirement planning tips on what are some of the things that I should be thinking about as I start approaching retirement. Now, granted, if you're in your 40s, you have a good maybe 20 to 25 years before retirement for a lot of people, unless you want to retire early. But the average person retires somewhere between 62 and 65. So you have a good number of years. One of the things that I would definitely say is that it's never too late to start saving. So if you haven't started saving, don't get in a panic. A lot of people feel like, oh my gosh, is it too late? Is it too late? Is it too late? No, it's not too late to start saving for your retirement if you're just getting started, even in your 40s. So if you feel like I'm getting a late start, I don't know what to do. And first thing is, don't panic. You guys may have heard that saying that, the best time to plant an oak tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So don't worry about the past. We can't do anything about that, but we can take action today that will impact the future. So I'm just going to provide you guys with about 5 tips. So I wrote them down because I love talking about money, and I don't want to go off the rails, and I don't want to overwhelm you either. So I'm just going to talk about 5 tips that you can start thinking about as you plan for retirement, or as you start thinking about retirement. Some of these things are going to be like low-hanging fruit, basically things that you already know, okay? But I think it's worth repeating. So let me go ahead and get started. One of those things is to create a spending plan, i.e. a budget. Most of the time when we talk about a budget, people feel like, oh, I don't want to do a budget because budgets feel so restrictive. But we have to reframe the way we think about a budget. The way I like to think about a budget, the way I like to think about my money is allocating my money towards the things that really matter to me. To me, that feels empowering, and it feels like I am in control of my money. So that's what I want you to think about. So if you think about a budget and it feels a little bit overwhelming, don't think about it like that. Think about it as a tool. Think about it as a spending plan that allows you to direct your money towards those things that are really important to you. So if you've never done a spending plan, I'm just going to say a few things about that. And one of the things you want to do is really go through your bank statements, look at your transactions, look at your bank statement as well as your credit card statements, and think about where your money is going. Take a look at your money, see where it's going, and then ask yourself, is my money going where I really want it to go? You know, the problem that I see, and I don't want to say it's a problem, but I want to say that one of the things that I see in practice is that oftentimes we're spending our money, but it's not always going towards the things that are really important to us. You know, so utilize your money as a tool to go towards those things that really, really matter to you. The transactions that are coming through your bank account, they tell a story. They tell a story about what's important to you. And when you're going through your banking account, your credit card statements, you know, make sure that those transactions, that the things that you're spending your money on, make sure that it's going towards the things that are important to you. You know, we operate on autopilot, and so we're not always thinking in terms of, you know, spending our money in alignment with our values. You know, so if you say, well, spending time with my family is important to me, that's a value to me, then if you look through your bank statement, your credit card statements, if you look at where your money is going, you should be able to see transactions that are related to your family. You know, it could be a family vacation, it could be outings with your family. You know, if you go through your statements and you see that, you know, maybe you're spending a lot of money on clothes, maybe you're spending a lot of money on some other things, but it's not necessarily related to your true values, you may want to go back and reevaluate that. You know, if you say that, you know, saving for the future, financial stability, if those things are important to you, then you should be able to see an emergency money going towards your emergency fund. If you say that, you know, having a secure future, that's important to you, then you should be allocating resources towards your retirement. So take a look at your money and see where it is going. Okay, create the spending plan is so empowering. Creating that spending plan and seeing your money going towards the things that are really important to you, that's going to really empower you, and it's going to make you want to do more. It's going to make you want to save more. It's going to make you want to invest more for your future. So that's the first thing, is create the spending plan. Create the spending plan and see where your money is really going. The next thing that I think is really important is to establish an emergency fund. When we're thinking about building wealth, there are phases to building wealth. And the first phase is really establishing a financial foundation. Having an emergency fund, that is a part of that foundation. And it's important because life is going to life. There are going to be unexpected things that happen in life. I mean, last year, my car, I think it was last summer, it may have been the summer before, but my car was leaking oil all over my driveway. I went to my mom's house, and, you know, she was the one that actually saw the oil that was all in her driveway, and I had to take the car into the mechanic. Well, it was like $2,500 to get it fixed because they had to take out the engine. There was some part that was probably about this big that had to come out of the car. It had popped out, and so oil was spewing all over the inside of the car. And so in order to get to it and repair it, they had to take the engine out. Can you say ching ching? A lot of money, right? Because a lot of labor hours that come in with having to take an engine out of a car. So, you know, while on the one hand, you know, I was bummed that I had to write the check, but I was also happy that I had been saving money into my emergency fund. And so I had that money. I didn't have to put it on a credit card. I did not have to take money out of my retirement account in order to fund that expense. So life is going to life, and we don't have any control over that. But what we can do is we can control how we prepare for that. So that you do have control over. So we can prepare for life's unexpected. because it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Now, as a financial planner, we often tell people, you want to try to save anywhere from 3 to 6 months of basic living expenses in a money market account or even some type of a savings account, right? But sometimes that can be a little overwhelming to try to save 3 to 6 months expenses, because if your living expenses are like $3,000 or so a month, times that by 3, that's $9,000. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that we build towards, and if you're at a place where you're like, okay, I'm not sure where that money's going to come from, just start small. Just start with, say, 1% of whatever it is that you bring in. So if you bring in $3,000 per month, then 1% of that, that's $30. That's $30 per month. Start small. And if you can start putting more into a savings account, oh, please, please, please do, but just start where you are. The key is to get into the habit of saving your money, and it does take a habit, that starts off by just putting away, maybe 1%, 2%, 3%. And the other thing is that, while you're saving, you should also be, saving for your retirement, or saving, let me go back and say that again. While you're saving for your emergency fund, that doesn't mean that you should not be investing for your future as well. You can do both, right? So make sure you're putting money into your savings account for emergencies, because emergencies are going to happen. Okay, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they happen, and I want you to be prepared for that. Then the next thing is that I want you to start putting money into your retirement plan. Now, if you're already investing, perfect. I said that's great. If you're not sure if you're investing enough, there are a number of retirement calculators online. So you can do one or two things. So you can just start with a retirement calculator. Vanguard has one, Fidelity. You can go and get one from like Bankrate and just start plugging in your numbers. They're going to ask you information about your income, your savings rate, when do you want to retire. They're going to get a sense of, provide you with like a average interest rate, so that they can calculate, what does that look like over time in terms of building up your retirement income. So just grab a retirement calculator and just kind of rough it out for now so that you can see, am I moving in the right direction towards saving for my retirement? And then, of course, the alternative is to work with a professional, work with a financial planning professional who can go into a more detailed analysis to help you see that based on where you are today and where you want to be in the future, what retirement looks like for you, let's create a plan to make that happen, or to at least see what do you need to do. Okay, so I want to make sure that you are starting to invest in your retirement. If your job offers you some type of retirement plan, start there. Especially if they're going to provide you with a company match. Take advantage of the match. You do not want to leave any money on the table. So take advantage of the match. If your company does not provide you with a retirement plan, you have a number of options still available to you. You can go with a traditional IRA. You can go with a Roth IRA. You could even use a taxable brokerage account. So if you don't have access to some type of retirement plan with your company, don't allow that to stop you from investing in your future. Remember, you have options. So I want you to make sure that you are putting money away into your retirement plan. And then the next thing is that while it's important to make sure that you're saving money into your retirement, you also need to understand where that money is going within the retirement plan. So you have to invest inside of your retirement plan. So you have to make a determination of where that money is going to go. What asset class? So when I'm talking about asset class, I'm talking about investments. That could be bonds. Bonds are basically a loan to a company. And so bonds are considered to be less risky. And as a result of that, then typically you're going to earn less rate of return on a bond. And it's important to understand kind of like that risk slash rate of return relationship, because bonds, because they're considered to be less risky, then they also pay a lower rate of return. And then stocks, on the other hand, are going to be considered to be a little higher risk, so they're going to pay you, or in theory they're supposed to pay you, a higher rate of return. And if you go back and look at it from a historical standpoint and you look at the averages, it's true to its form. Okay, so where you invest is very important. Remember, bonds are going to earn less over time, and then stocks are going to typically earn more over time, but you're going to take on more risk. So where you invest, that's important. And when you're thinking about that, you also want to think about your risk tolerance. And risk tolerance is what I like to call your ability to sleep at night test. So if you're investing and you're tossing and turning all night because you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't sleep at night because the market is going up and down, on a daily basis, which is what the market does. The market kind of goes like this, but it's going up over time, on average. So if you feel like, oh, I can't sleep because your portfolio is invested too heavily in stocks, you need to shift your asset allocation. So it's important to understand how you feel about risk as well. And the last thing that I want to mention when it comes to asset allocation is the time horizon. That's important. The shorter that time horizon, then the less risky you want your portfolio to be. Because when you're investing in the market, it's a long-term game. It's a long-term strategy. And so the idea is that if you're not going to need this money for like 10 years or so out, then you may be able to take on more risk. Okay, so asset allocation, that's important to know where your money is invested. All right, and then the next thing is that I think is important is to invest in you. If you're single and you don't have, someone else's income that you can depend on, to help you save for your retirement, then do whatever you can to maximize your salary. And I'm a big believer in basically improving your skill set. So think about how can you, if you're working for an employer, how can you make your skill set more valuable? How can you basically take on maybe more responsibilities with your employer so that you can add more value over time? And I remember reading a book by Brian Tracy, and he said that you never work for anyone else. You always work for yourself. And that has always stayed with me throughout my career, because I feel like when you're working for an employer, sometimes they may ask you to do things you don't really want to do. They may ask you to take on more responsibilities, but they're not necessarily going to pay you more money to take on those additional responsibilities. And I think if you can reframe that and think about it from a standpoint of maybe I'm not getting more in pay, but if I can take this skill or this additional responsibility and really learn from it, I can add value either to the employer that I'm with now, or I can take this skill set and utilize it with another employer who's going to pay me more money. So I think that's a great way to think about it, is that you never work for anyone else, but you always work for yourself. So to the extent that you can learn as much as you can from whoever you're working with, take that knowledge, build a skill around it, add value, and go get your paper. Go make your money. So when you're single, the more money that you can make, the more value that you could add to that employer. That means the more money that you can use, that you will have, so that you can save and invest and again, build that wealth. That's important. And the same thing is true if you're a business owner. So continue to learn, to grow, to build our skill set means that we're able to better serve our clients. And to the extent that you are better able to serve your clients and, make their lives easier, then you're going to get paid more for that. So always be thinking about how can you add more value to your clients by building your skill set as well. So I'm just going to summarize what I talked about today. We talked about creating a spending plan. Think about it as a tool to empower you to have your money go exactly where you want it to go. And you're going to be looking for areas in your bank statements, in your credit card statements to see how can I extract money out of this so that I can put more money towards my future. Because remember, it's about balance. We want to enjoy our lives today, but we also want to make sure that we are creating a secure life in the future. We want to have an emergency fund because life is going to happen. And life is going to happen to all of us. None of us are going to be immune, right? Life doesn't discriminate. So remember, it's not a matter of, if anything is going to happen. It's a matter of when it's going to happen. And we can prepare for the inevitable, right? Invest in your retirement plan. If your company provides one, definitely, work towards investing in that plan. Even if you're starting with just 1%, 2%, the key is to get started. And remember, you have time. You still have time to save for your future. So just go ahead, get started with what you have and build over time. And let me add one more thing. I don't want to forget about this either. Is that if you're trying to figure out if things are kind of tight, because we're in an economy where inflation is kind of taken over and it's expensive out here. But if you can find ways to save money, if you get a pay raise, maybe you can take half your pay raise and put that into your retirement account. If you get a bonus, you can take your bonus, put that into your retirement account. If you get a refund, from the IRS, just go through and look at your financial situation and see what can I utilize to start propping up my retirement account. So very important. Where you invest, again, just as important. You want to make sure that your money is working hard for you. That's what a lot of clients come in and they say, Renee, I want my money to work hard for me. And when they say that, that means that what they're really talking about is investing. How do I save my money? Where do I save my money so that money is working double time for me? So where you invest, your asset allocation is very important. Lastly, I mentioned invest in you, right? So to the extent that you can continue to increase your capital, your value to your employer, that is going to mean that, you're going to, at some point, you're going to be rewarded for that. And I think it's important to understand that whatever skill set that you're learning today, you can take that skill set and you'll be able to utilize it for the rest of your life. So think about, where do you want to be in the future? What skills do you need in order to get there, and start working towards that, and it doesn't necessarily mean going back to school, because school can get expensive, especially with student loans. But there's so many ways to get knowledge, to get expertise. You can get it through online courses. You can get it through, a certification program. You can get it through trade school. So junior colleges, I love learning. And I like just learning a variety of different things. I took a home improvement class at the local junior college where I live and pretty much remodeled my home. One of these days I'll have to put up the pictures so people can see that. But it was fun. I loved it. But I learned a new skill. I'm not trying to make money off of that skill, but it was something that I really enjoyed doing, and it really helped me to save money just around my house, because I realized that there are a lot of things that I can do myself rather than paying someone thousands upon thousands of dollars to do the work, although I don't mess with electrical. leave that one alone, leave that one to the pros. But there are a lot of things that you can learn how to do around your home that doesn't cost you a ton of money. But that's all that I have today, guys. I am going to start going live once a week because I'm really dedicated to helping people to better manage their money. I am a believer that we're not bad with money. We have not learned the skills that we need to better manage our money. And once you learn the skill, you will begin to understand how money works, and then how do we utilize money as a tool to live our dream life. And to me, that's what it's all about. So in the meantime, you guys do take care. Dads, I hope you have a great Father's Day, and I will see you guys next week. Go be great, guys. Bye.